I always get so nervous to record these. Welcome, bestie, to another YouTube video. Today, we're gonna be discussing a very important topic. If you clicked on this video, I know that this is probably very important to you. And maybe you're feeling stuck in your journey. Maybe you haven't even started your journey, or maybe you're just too overwhelmed by the amount of information that is here on socials about what to do, how to start your fitness journey. And I'm here to clear things up and give you a step-by-step guide on how to start. Now, I encourage you to get a pen or a pencil and a notebook because we're gonna be covering a lot of things. And these are all gonna be very actionable items that you really could realistically take this weekend and kickstart this upcoming Monday. So let's jump right into it. Step one, I have my little list here. Step one, identify your why. Why do you wanna do this? Why do you wanna kickstart your fitness journey? Write it down. Somewhere, somehow, just write it down and make sure that it actually resonates with you. This is step one for me because there are multiple times, and there will be multiple times throughout your journey where you're not gonna feel motivated, you're not gonna be as disciplined, and you'll forget why it is that you are implementing these changes in the first place. It's very easy to do that, especially when things get hard, when you get in a funk, when maybe you break out of routine, right? So you're gonna have to reference your why to keep yourself going. So make sure that whatever you tell yourself, whatever reasoning you give yourself, your why is a strong one, is a real one that you feel from within. I don't know, whether that is, I want to kickstart my fitness journey because I want to be there for my kids, for my husband when I get older. I want to see them live. That is a very valid reason to kickstart your journey. It's one that resonates with a lot of people, so make sure that whatever reasoning you give yourself and you tell yourself, it's one that you actually feel from within, because that is what's gonna carry you through the end. Step two, fitness journeys typically consist of two main components, workouts and nutrition. Pick whichever you want to start with first, but only pick one. Why can't I do both simultaneously? You can. But if you're watching this, it's probably because you have not started anything. So we have to start somewhere. And most of the time, as an online fitness coach, what I typically see is that people give themselves too many tasks. They tell themselves, I'm gonna work out tomorrow, I'm gonna change my diet, I'm gonna cut out all sweets, I'm gonna be consistent every day, and I'm gonna wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning and XYZ. When you give yourself so many tasks at the same time, it can be very overwhelming, and you'll probably stick to it, maybe like a day, 2 days, but the reality is that that is unsustainable. You have to break it down into actionable bite-sized pieces so that you're able to actually implement them in a way that is sustainable long-term. Step number three, what does your current schedule look like? What I want you to do, if you haven't, is sit down and look at everything that is going on in your life as we speak right now. Pull up Google Calendar, right? And write out, block all the things that you currently have going on. You're gonna start to see and identify the pockets within your schedule that you could potentially fit in things like working out or meal prepping, AKA kickstarting your nutrition, right? Whatever it is, you'll be able to get a glance as to how much time you realistically have within your schedule. But it requires for you to sit down and actually block these times off. You're gonna be able to see how much time realistically you have to fit these things in, and ask yourself, how much can you afford? What can you afford? What can't you afford? Can I afford an hour and 30-minute full workouts? Can I afford 15-minute workouts? Can I afford, training 5 times a week? Can I afford maybe training 2 times a week? Be realistic. Look at your schedule and see where and how much you can dedicate to things like working out and meal prepping. And now you have an overview as to what your week looks like, right? Step 4 is identifying what days, how long, And what frequency are you gonna be doing this thing? Start small. Again, break it down into bite-sized pieces. Don't tell yourself, okay, so you have your schedule and you see that you have all 7 days available, right? And you're like, I'm gonna work out every single day for an hour and a half. Bestie, you're not even doing 1 day. Work on consistency rather than frequency. If you see yourself that you have availability to work out 7 days a week, that doesn't mean that you should start working out 7 days a week. The game here is consistency. It's building the habits of doing something for extended periods, extended amounts, extended periods of times, expended times. I don't know, you get the point. For a long time, okay? Give yourself a small attainable goal, maybe 2 times a week, 3 times a week, but don't give yourself 7 days a week. We don't have the habits yet, right? So we have to work on our consistency and then we can bump up the frequency. Focus on being consistent with those days for a long, long time. Then you can increase the frequency, but only if you have been consistent with hitting those 2 or 3 days, whatever goal you gave yourself, for a long time. Now, how much time? I'm talking about months, okay? Because to build habits, it takes time. Step number 5. So now that you know you wanna work out or you wanna train, let's say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Tuesday and Thursday, where can I find the inspiration to find the workouts that I wanna do, right? Because now you know exactly how long these sessions are gonna be. You know what days you plan on completing these sessions, but now it's a matter of like, okay, great, we got ourselves to the gym, now what do I do, right? Step 5 is identifying what you will actually do in the gym. There are certain structures that maybe you would want to follow when it comes to training to get to specific goals. But to start, all we're really focusing on here, don't overcomplicate it, all we're really focusing on is just building consistency and being active in some way, shape, or form. So don't worry too much of whether, am I doing this right? If I want a big booty, like, do I have to be doing these exercises? Like, don't stress about that too much. Right now, we're just focusing on consistency and even just showing up. Use sources like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I mean, there's so many resources for you to find a adequate, good workout. Dumbbell only workout, at-home workout, body weight workout, band only workout, gym workout, Smith machine workout. I mean, there's so many workouts that you can do, right? Pick one, right? Or if you're training 2 to 3 days a week, pick 3. Planning what you'll do on those specific days will make you feel more prepared. So that way it's not so overwhelming when you're actually there and you're like, well, what am I supposed to be doing, right? That eliminates all of any guessing, any unpreparedness. You know exactly what you need to do and where you're supposed to be. Step 6, gradually increase the frequency in which you go to the gym. Let's say you started with 2 days a week and you've been consistent with hitting those 2 days a week for 2 to 3 months. Great, fantastic. It's time to crank it up. Maybe just instead of doing 2 days, maybe you increase it to 3 days a week. Again, referencing the schedule, right? Where you're currently at in life right now, look at your schedule because your schedule might change as time goes by, right? So update your schedule and then see where you could potentially fit another day. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you still train those 2 days a week, but maybe you go on runs, right? You add an extra day where you go out on a run. If all you can afford is just doing 3 days, then all you're gonna do is 3 days. If all you can afford is 2 days, then that's fine too. There are recommendations that do say that the best amount of times to work out during the week is 3 to 4 times a week. That's like what's recommended. But again, in this case, it's all about kickstarting your fitness journey and making sure that we're creating habits that stick long term. Another thing that I wanna touch on is adjust as needed, okay? Recognize that your life is going to change. Your life is gonna get more busy sometimes, less busy sometimes, and you have to be flexible with this schedule. So if you're telling yourself, I'm gonna be training 3 days a week, but then you have a couple of months where work is very busy, and maybe 3 days a week, you can't train 3 days a week because life is just lifing, right? You will have to learn how to adjust. And maybe sometimes instead of doing 3 days, what you can afford is just 2 days. Learn how to adjust. based on where you are in life. If your life is very busy, very chaotic, and all you can afford is 2 days, then just do 2 days. If all you can afford during this time is 3 days, then just do 3 days, right? Learn how to adjust. It's about, again, we're trying to build habits that we'll be able to stick to long term. Step number 7 is giving yourself some grace, which we already just touched on that. Let's say that you've been doing well for 2 to 3 months and then you fall off track. Pick up where you left off. It is normal to fall off track, and this is not something that I feel like is talked about enough. But know that falling off track is normal and is part of the process. I can't tell you the amount of times when I kickstarted my fitness journey that I fell off. I would go to the gym for like 2-3 months and then I would disappear for like 4. And then I would go back maybe like a month and then I would disappear again for a month. It's part of the process. The biggest and the most important part of this is not giving up. Leave those breaks, those months that you didn't go to the gym behind. Focus on what you can do today. And don't beat yourself up for not showing up. It's part of the process. The more times that you get up and you continue showing up, that is what's gonna lead you to consistency. You start to get into the habit of like, okay, I fell off, I need to jump back in. I fell off, I need to jump back in. And the frequency in which that happens decreases as time goes by. But it requires for you to get up and continue showing up. It's just all part of creating new habits, right? You're creating a new habit, you're doing something that you're not used to. It's part of the process. Step 8. So now that you've tackled this one whole area, you are finally consistent with hitting a set number of days. You have that under control. You know, you're giving yourself that grace. You have a good rhythm. Now it's time to focus on the nutrition. Now that you've implemented these changes and you're able to be consistent, those habits are gonna translate over to the second component, which is nutrition, which means that you won't be struggling as much because you already give yourself an idea of what it means to sit down, plan ahead of time, giving yourself that grace, knowing that you won't be perfect, right? Those habits, you'll be able to transfer some of that knowledge into the second component. These are the steps that I feel like anyone that is interested in kickstarting their fitness journey do. Take what I said today, write it on a piece of paper, and take action, okay? You don't have to do everything all at once. That is what leads you to falling out. If you're the type of person that also feels like you need that additional guidance, right? Maybe you want someone that you're able to talk to, right? Maybe you don't want to figure it out all by yourself. Know that that's also okay, right? I feel like most of us were like, nah, we just want to do it ourselves porque somos unas chingonas, because we're just baddies. And yes, you can do it all by yourself, of course. But recognize that there are also coaches out here that are willing to help you, and that is okay. There's coaches like me that will help you sit down and manage your time, who will help you, give you a set of workouts that you're able to do from the convenience of your home based on what you have. A nutrition plan that doesn't require for you to track everything yourself, learn everything and educate yourself on, or have someone educate you on these things like me, right? Someone that'll explain to you what are macros, how should you be training, like how can I actually sit down and plan out my days? Like, there are people out here to help you is what I'm trying to say. Let me know in the comments if you would like for me to go a little bit further in any of the steps that I mentioned today, as I would be more than happy to do so. And also stay tuned for part 2 of this, where we will be tackling the nutrition component of this and giving you another step-by-step guide on how to conquer eating better, eating healthier, and making smart nutritional choices. Hopefully this was somewhat helpful. Have faith in yourself, bestie. Know that it's not easy. If it was so easy, everyone else would be doing it, okay? And when you feel unmotivated and undisciplined, remember your why, because that is what will lead you to success. Anyways, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.